Keep It Dago podcast. Today I'm here to interview somebody both beautiful and interesting. Her name is Isabel Garcia. What is so interesting about her? She makes beautiful things. She is an artist. In addition to being a person who has boxed, graduated from San Diego State University, and been a community activist. Say hello to the people of San Diego.
Hello, San Diego. How you doing?
Well, I'm sure San Diego is doing all right even through this tough pandemic crisis. But what they want to know is how are you doing and what are you doing? So you have some unique artwork. You do murals around the city. You help with nonprofit organizations. You're involved in a lot of stuff. And a lot of your mindset came from the fact that you boxed while you were growing up. You were a lady boxer. So if you
Yes,
don't
sir.
mind, can you tell us a little bit about that before we get into the art so people can kind of understand the story from the beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I remember I was in like 8th grade, going into 9th grade, and just kind of in like that awkward stage, and in your early teens when you're trying to find something that you like and trying to fit in, and like all of just that really strange navigation part of that time in your life. And I was trying to find a sport or something that I could do aside from already that I was already painting and drawing that I already enjoyed, but just something else to get kind of lost into. And I remember one of my friends from school, he had mentioned that he joined this boxing gym and he was trying to get my brother and I to get involved. And so it was really cool that my parents took us to the ABC Youth Foundation, to just give it a shot and see if we liked it or anything. And it to like all of our surprises, my brother was kind of like, no, it's not really for me. I don't think I'm gonna be really into boxing. But I was like, hell yeah, like like this is, I do like this. I ended up really enjoying it and just kind of seeing all these people working out and like hitting the heavy bags and just hearing like the chains from the bags hanging and hearing the coaches speak and everything. It was just like, damn, like I want to be here. This is something that I want to try. And so it was just something that I'm really glad that I decided to stick with, because it became so much more like important to me than I ever imagined that it could. So I'm really glad that that was like something that it was like a little hidden gem that I ended up finding, because it became such an important part to my life.
Right into it. Okay. People in San Diego probably, a lot of them or some of them have seen you around town doing your artwork, doing the murals. They may not know which murals are yours, but I'm sure that they've seen your murals and many have commented on them. But what drove your artwork and everything else you told me previously, one of the things that really drove it was the boxing.
Absolutely.
Could you tell us a little bit about that before we get into some of the other stuff?
Yeah. So I started boxing around 2013 when I was going from 8th grade to 9th grade. And it was just around that really awkward early teens time when you're trying to find something to fit in and something that will help you kind of just to stand out in a way that'll help you, navigate the world and everything. And so I was trying out different sports and I was already painting and drawing, but I just wanted something else to kind of, make a hobby of. And I was really lucky to have a friend who kind of, invited me to their boxing gym. And, ever since I first stepped foot into the ABC Youth Foundation, I kind of fell in love with everything about boxing.
Okay, so you were at ABCU Foundation, fell in love with everything about boxing, and then you began to have, some fights in the gym and whatnot. Tell us about that. How did that go? Did you win a lot? Were you mediocre at first? Did you have to hone it?
I think not to not to sound pretentious or anything, but there was definitely a spark in me that I noticed that it kind of came to me rather like naturally. And with the coaches I had, they were just kind of like, "Who is this? Like, you're like this big. Like, why are you so angry? Like, why do you have this all inside you?" So it was really cool to kind of be able to express everything that I feel I couldn't really express through my artwork with boxing, because there was just a lot of discipline involved that I didn't really have prior to that. So getting to learn how to fight and actually defend myself, and how to respect myself, and respecting my opponent, like it was just it was just this like amazing experience, like all in one package, and getting to befriend a lot of really talented athletes, and as well as the coaches who are really passionate and really like inspiring. There was just so many kids who had really difficult histories and different backgrounds, but seeing them all grown up now, like seeing us where we are now, I think boxing definitely was a huge factor to what has made us successful now.
Oh, okay, and that is great to know. So now let's talk about what you're doing at this time, which is your artwork. You're painting murals all over the city. You're making a lot more entertaining to ride through the city of San Diego. You plan on doing more. We spoke. You said you'd like to at some point do something down at Chicano Park.
Hmm.
And so where can we see, like where can we see some of the artwork that you've done?
Well, there's been a couple of projects that I was invited to work on. Like there's, for example, behind Horton Elementary, that's on 5050 Guyman Street.
Uh-huh.
Right behind, there's a Walgreens going down Euclid. There's an elementary school that they recently they built a new like a ramp to go up to the school, and there's a park behind this mural that was installed not too long ago. And that's kind of where I started my journey with murals, and kind of like where I came full circle, because I think it was in 2016, when it was my senior year in high school. We were doing our senior exhibition projects, and the theme of it was kind of like to do a TED talk, and we had to follow the theme of innovation in the community. And so there was kids that were doing like tutoring groups, like for example, like there was students who were trying to help elementary school kids with math and things like that. But I wanted to do something totally different, and something involved with the arts, and just something huge. And so I remember going down from my high school, which was Gompers Preparatory Academy, and going down to Horton Elementary, and I got in touch with the principal there, and she was amazing at helping me kind of figure out where to start with everything. And we ended up putting together this huge project, which was like a giant mural that I had titled like Saving Southeast, which was based off like a group of superheroes that the elementary school kids created. And I translated their drawings and painted this huge mural. And so after that year, and after the mural, that area got some attention from the city, and they were able to like clean up that area and build a brand new park. And so a couple of years later, which was last summer, I was invited to work with another great artist from San Diego, Max Moses. He's like a pretty well-known muralist from, I think he's from the East Coast. He was invited to create a new mural for that spot, because they completely took down the wall and what was there. And so I was invited to go out and help with that project. So if you go down Guyman and see the new mural there, there's a couple of like elements that I was able to help with, as well as the four corners, where the old waffle burger place used to be. There is a new kind of, they painted the the very front of the walls to look like storefronts, to just kind of give that street like a little bit of more life, now that after all of these protests going on from early in the pandemic, they wanted to just kind of give a little bit more love to the community. And there's a mural we just finished by, I think, Division and 54th Street. It's just like this huge landscape painting that you can't miss once you see it. So there's like little bits and pieces here and there
Bits and
around.
pieces everywhere. That's cool. Let me backtrack a little bit because now that we've talked about your boxing, we've bridged over to some of your artwork that you did. How did you get started as an artist, and what did boxing infuse into that?
So with my, I guess, artistic career, it was just something I picked up really, really, really early on as a kid. I remember one of my aunts, she used to be a teacher for some catechism classes. And every time she came back home with a box of arts and crafts that were left over, she would sit with my brother and I and, would give us like all the leftover materials. And I just kind of never put the pencil down and just kind of fed into that. And my parents were super, super, super supportive of me wanting to, pursue art, even though there was like people that were like, oh, like, don't you want her to be a doctor? Don't you want her to do this? Like something that's going to make money or whatever. But I was really blessed to have that support from them that were just like, oh, yeah, no, like, let her do what she wants. And later on, going into high school, my dad was really cool about it and was kind of teaching me like, well, if this is what you want to do, with art, you can make money. And so that was just something that clicked in my head. That was like, oh, okay. And so I kind of started like selling portraits when I was in like 11th and 12th grade in high school. And when I had started boxing, it was just something I didn't even imagine could help with my art. But there was some aspect from boxing that just gave me this confidence and this, it gave me this opportunity to see this part of myself that I didn't really see before. And just kind of like this little spark that made me fearless. And so, in terms with art, it kind of made me not really care like about what people had to say or like whatever challenges there were. Going from high school to college, I was kind of struggling like, well, what can I do in school? Like, what am I going to do with art? But I stuck with my guns and I was able to keep that confidence and really just keep believing in myself. So I am still doing what I really love, and I'm still, boxing, and I'm still able to reap the rewards from both of my passions that kind of intertwined and still really positively affect my life, because I feel like with art, I was able to apply that with boxing, from paying attention to details, from, special techniques and stuff, and my discipline and my, perseverance from boxing into my art, for whenever I hit that block of, man, like, do I continue with this? It's really hard as an artist, but luckily, with both, I was able to
That
get,
fighting spirit.
yeah.
Did that fighting spirit play a factor in you in your studies at UCSD?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think just looking back at my whole entire college career, I think one of the biggest factors of surviving it is, the spirit that I was able to build and nurture through boxing and everything else, because college is hard. And seeing a lot of people that I knew from high school and friends, kind of struggle, like, you have no idea, and like to the point of being able to like drop out and everything, it was really scary, and college is no joke. So having that discipline and having that ability to tell yourself that you can keep going, that like it's going to be worth it at the end, is something I definitely was able to transfer from boxing to college, because I had no idea that it was going to be different from high school. I was like, oh, I can wake up early. I used to wake up at like 6 all the time in high school. But God forbid I had an 8 a.m. when I was in college, because that was hard. And even just the aspect of the culture that was at UCSD because it's located in La Jolla. There was a huge culture shock, and there was just a huge, really difficult transition being far away from home and being far from people that I know. Um, Aside just from the, the curriculum, it was just definitely a huge test of like, can I do this? Can I push myself through this? So I was really grateful for, the lessons I've learned through boxing and through people I've met throughout that journey. So it's definitely helped with for where I am now.
Well, who are some of the more influential people you've met throughout your journey of life in particular right now? Because in addition to everything else, I know that you're a community activist, and I'd like to talk about that after you tell me who some of your bigger influences were.
Yeah, so definitely my parents, both of my parents are my and my older brother are like my biggest influences above anything else, just because they radiate like resilience and, positive energy, like no matter what, like you can keep going, whatever you're passionate about, follow your dreams. So that was just always in the back of my mind. And going into like the aspect of like, getting in to know my community and getting to know like that my voice matters and that, teamwork in the community matters. Like there was the principal from the elementary school that I worked with. It was Stacy Dent. She was the principal at the time, but now she's involved with Lincoln. But she plays like a big role in the Southeast community, and she's amazing. She has like a heart of gold, and she works with kids from all ages, and she works with so many organizations. And she's a black woman with like I don't know how many degrees and everything, but she's amazing, and she really helped me kind of, you know, um, she really helped me figure out how to use my art as activism and how to use my voice, like as a brown woman in a community that's like just always going, and it's like a low income community, so it's really like looking at art as a luxury and looking at the time of trying to make a difference. It's a luxury. Education and access to information, they're luxuries. Not everybody has the time or the ability to stop and like, oh, how can I make my community better? But I learned through her that you make the time, you put in the effort, and the people around you, that's your team. So she was a huge, huge impact for me. And then on top of that, my boxing coach, instructor Billy Moore, he changed my life completely because he was like right off of the bat when I was having doubts about boxing. He was like, "Oh, girl, I know you can do this. Stop being, he's like, stop being a pushover. Like, I know you can punch this as hard as you can. Like, how's school going? How's mom and dad? How's this and that? Like, how was your day?" And it was just kind of like, oh, like you're teaching me how to punch things, but you care about my well-being and my family. Like that really stood out to me. So I kind of, I just went under his wing since then. And like, I still keep in touch with him now. Like, he's pretty much family, but he's definitely been a huge influence because I see the way he loves people and the way people love him. And it's just so powerful because through him, it's just so much more than boxing, too, because of the kids that walk into that gym. Most of the time they get out of school and their parents come home really late from work, so they don't have that time to spend with them. So the ABC kind of becomes like a second home. So these were like huge, huge impacts in my life that still, help me now.
And let me ask you a question. I know that you are out there trying to make a social impact around the San Diego area, maybe even a bigger footprint later on down the line, hopefully. Where do you feel that you've had the biggest footprint so far? Like, what amongst the stuff that you've done, where do you feel like, whoa, just one story, not what organization is best? We're not pitting that against each other, but what was the biggest moment for
So
you?
I'm
No, like,
already pretty much like a nerd, and so having the excuse to dress up as a superhero was like, heck yeah, like why wouldn't I? So I dressed up as Wonder Woman, and I went to the elementary school to talk about my project. And I think one of the biggest moments for me was when I was presenting to some of the students, and I was talking to them about art, and I was talking to them about, changing the community. And there was a lot of community members in there along with the kids. And I had everyone like stand up and then do the like Wonder Woman pose and the superhero pose and talk about like, and I had them like repeat after me, like, I'm a superhero, I can change the world type of thing. And hearing them repeat like everything after me and seeing all those little tiny little babies, standing like superheroes was just like a huge, huge moment that I was like, holy shit, I want to work with kids. I want to keep working with art. I want to make art that says something. And I want to work with my community. So it was like, how do I put that all together? So that's kind of what it has led me to what I was learning about in school, to the organizations I'm a part of now, to what I'm trying to figure out what to do next. How do I marry these things and go from there? So that moment was just, it was just life changing, and it was so beautiful, and I hold it so dear to me because it just really opened my eyes to what I'm capable of and to what, I can do. So it
yeah,
was that.
yeah. In addition to opening your eyes to what you're capable of and what you can do, it sounds like you utilize the opportunity to inspire a lot of other people too. It sounds like you were inspired in the process of inspiring others. I really like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's something that I always tend to find that, it's just something reoccurring in a lot of things that I do. And like the process of trying to inspire others, I always get so much more inspired and just like, oh my gosh, like you're listening to me. Your ideas are amazing. And so that's what really motivates me to the whole idea of community and like people power and the whole, teamwork makes the dream work type of thing. Like I believe in that so heavily.
Yeah, me too. Now, speaking of teamwork makes the dream work, I want to talk to you a little bit about San Diego's urban entertainment industry. You're
Oh,
an
yes.
artist of one type, you paint and everything. We have people out here that rap, sing, do gospel, reggae, people plays, just all types of entertainment. The movies, there are people out here that are filmmakers. What do you think of San Diego's urban entertainment industry? And have you noticed it being on the rise lately, or is it kind of flying under the radar, in your opinion?
Honestly, I think ever since I kind of started going like out more like in middle school and like high school, and I was like skating around, like when I mentioned going to Barrio Logan and all of these different places. Like I had friends that were into music. My brother, he's a musician, and like the people that I saw around me, like there was just so many different types of art. There was friends that I know that were really into dance, into theater, into so many different types of art. It was just something I always saw. But the way you mentioned, like it's a rising now, I think the pandemic has given people this space to like be creative. And as horrible as this whole experience has been with, COVID and everything, it's kind of been really amazing to see all these people kind of rise up and use what they're passionate about to like uplift others, because like I would see people post on Facebook like, oh, I'm playing this song on the ukulele, like I hope, it makes someone's day. And I was like, holy shit, it did make my day. And seeing those like little things affect more than like one person was just kind of amazing. And it still impresses me because I'm still seeing so many people kind of get in touch with their creative side. And it's crazy to like imagine that it's happening during such a tragic time, but I think it is during these types of times that really, what keeps us going. Like it's just a lot to see it unfold, but I think it's a I think it's a beautiful thing, especially for San Diego, like especially from where I'm from Southeast San Diego, there's a lot of creative people. And I think this has been able to give people that space and like the opportunity to like, this is what I can do. And it's not so much of like, I want the attention, but it's like, no, it's for you. It's a lot of being able to share these passions that I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many talented people. So I think it's definitely something I'm noticing happening a lot more frequently lately.
That San Diego's urban entertainment industry is on the rise. In addition to everything else, we have great artists too. And when I say artists, I mean like yourself, painting, doing murals. You do commission work too, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, that's something that I picked up pretty early on. It was really crazy to me to think that I can draw something and someone would give me money for it. Like I was like, you want to pay me for art? Like I never really imagined, myself being able to do that because when I was younger, it was just kind of how I, showed people I love them. Like I would draw on sticky notes, I would draw whatever and like, printer paper and just give to people. But then that's like when my dad was like, you can like do something with that. And so he kind of like he showed me, pretty much how to hustle. Like, I didn't have a job at the time, I was really young, but I can still do something with it. And that was just something that always stuck in the back of my mind. And it was just of something of like value what you do, value yourself, value what you're able to do that other people can do, and they want a piece of what you're able to create. And I remember one of the first commissions I had, it was also like the first mural I ever painted. And it was this girl I didn't even know from high school. Her pit bull had passed away. And she was like, do you think you can draw my dog for me? Like, it was like a small piece of paper. And I'm like, yeah, of course. And once I drew it and gave it to her, she was like, can you paint this in my room actually? Like, huge. And I was like, yeah, I think so. Like, yeah, let's do it, let's give it a shot. So I ended up painting like this huge, like, I want to say not that big, but it was like 3 or 4 feet by like, I don't know, but for me at the time it was huge. And yeah. And so I was just kind of like, oh snap, like, like, yeah, let me give it a shot. And so getting close to the end of the painting, I was like, okay, well, can you wait outside so I can, finish it and then I can present it to you? Because during the process of all of it, she would hang out in the room and play music, and we got to know each other, and was just, just chilling and getting to become friends, which was also such a cool experience because it was, my art that had brought us together. And then finishing the mural, and she brought her family in, and seeing their reaction was just like, oh my gosh, like, this is why I'm doing this. Like, her mom cried and she was like, you brought our dog back to life, Mija, thank you so much. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, the dog had passed away.
Yeah, and so she wanted like a memorial painting or something. And so they had paid me for it as well. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I like skated home, and I was just like, I had my pocket full of money, and I got like remembering their emotions. I was just like, oh my gosh, I can do this. Like, aside from everything, like their reaction and my connection with them meant so much. And that was just also something that, made me want to keep doing that. And so that was just, it was just an amazing experience that
Yeah,
still, affects me and still is why I paint.
that was a really cool story. You got rewarded in two ways. You got the
Yeah.
financial reward, three ways really. You made a new friend, and then you got to touch everybody's heart right there. That was big. So, speaking of touching hearts and getting financial reward, how can people get a hold of you if they want to commission something, if they want to know more about your art, if they want to buy maybe products that you already offer? How do we get in touch with you?
Well, I have pretty much like on my Instagram, that's kind of like my main source of, information and everything. I'm working on a website right now. Since I had finished school last year, and kind of right away got involved with these organizations, I didn't really have so much time to sit and devote to like myself and build my own brand and build my own like website and everything. So that's what I'm currently working on. I have stickers of my work and I have like little business cards. So sometimes just when I'm on the go and people see like my pants are full of paint or something, or I, just spark conversation with people, I like to give them my business card, and they can look up my social media, and that's where I kind of have like, it's kind of like my portfolio of work. But yeah, I think Instagram is definitely right now like my target source of information for people while I'm working on my website.
So how do they find you on Instagram?
Right now I'm just at isbl.g for Isabel G.
So isbl.g
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram. So you guys
Yes.
heard that, isbl.g, and some great artwork you will see. So if you're looking for commissions, you're looking to just connect with her, see what she does, see what she's about, that Instagram is your key. Now, is there anything else you want to tell the people of San Diego? Anything else that you want to speak on before you go?
Um, let's
Upcoming
see.
projects, maybe?
Oh, there's a girl that I was working with through a volunteering project. We were painting together to restore a civil rights mural that got defaced at the beginning of the pandemic when all the protests broke out. And we kind of figured out like that we worked really well together, and like the things that we believed in really aligned. And so we got together and we're kind of working on like a starting like a little mural business together. And you can find us under Arte Atolondrada. So that's like Atolondrada is Spanish for scatterbrained. So it's like scatterbrained art because we just kind of do a little bit of everything. And we're both like, we both like working with like these huge projects, and we like doing like small scale things. And we're trying to get like recycled materials to just to keep um like using like how do I say it? We like to get like we get a lot of donations for paint and materials, and so right now we're kind of navigating that. And so I think there's something gonna happen. Sorry, there's something happening with that. So we're on the process of starting a little team for
Okay.
murals.
So you guys are building the team right now to put it together and make your project come to life then.
Mm-hmm.
And is there any way that people who may be qualified to get involved and be interested can catch up with you? Can you repeat the
Oh
name and
yeah,
the
absolutely.
site?
Yeah, so you can look up arteatolondrada.com. So it's just basically like scatterbrained art in Spanish.
So
Um,
tolograda.com.
mm-hmm.
And how do you
um,
spell that, please?
ARTEATOLONDRADA.com.
Okay, so for those of you who don't speak any Spanish, she spelled it out for you. Hmm. And are you still involved with any of the kids who are growing up who are doing boxing or anything? Or are you mostly artwork and community activism now?
Um, I became a board member for my boxing gym last year. So right now we're closed due to the pandemic and just trying to keep everyone safe. But usually we have like an after school program that helps kids, finish their homework, make sure they're on top of their academics before they go to the back and start training. So there's a couple of kids that I've seen that like got there and they were really tiny, and now they're like huge and buff and still working out and everything, and really just grown up. And it's crazy to see it happen. But there's like a couple of kids that I remember that like stepped foot in there, and now that they're pretty much all grown up.
Okay, Okay. Well, with all that being said, it was great interviewing you, great sitting down and talking to you. I'm sure people in the San Diego area are more than happy to meet somebody as caring and attentive to self and community as you are. So we came to the end of the show, and this is the part when we go ahead and sign out with.
You heard it here first, San Diego. Keep grinding, keep it real, and always keep it Dago.
You heard her. Keep it Dago.